Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Linda Larson. I am the program manager for the Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity Climate and Equitable Jobs Act Workforce Program implementation team, and I'm delighted to welcome you today to our bidders conference for two CJA programs that we have launched within the last month. The Clean Jobs Workforce Network Program and the Energy Transition Navigator Program. Just a few housekeeping items. We are recording this webinar and it will be available on the website for people who are not able to attend today. We'll also be trying to monitor the chat and answer questions and post links in the chat. If we do not get to your question today, we will review the chat and post answers to the questions on the Notice of Funding Opportunity websites. So we'll provide some information about that as well, but please feel free to use the chat to ask questions, and we'll do our best to answer them either during the webinar or afterwards. All right, let's go ahead and get started. So the two programs that the Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity is launching are part of the Climate and Equitable Jobs Act. This is a comprehensive energy legislation to equitably grow the clean energy, the adoption of renewable energy generation, electrification, electric vehicles, and energy efficiency in Illinois. And workforce programs are an essential aspect of the Climate and Equitable Jobs Act. Illinois is investing in clean energy sources, electric vehicles, and energy efficiency, and we need to expand the clean energy workforce to do this work. There's also a lot of federal funding right now to grow clean energy, and we need to expand the workforce to meet that need as well. Some groups of people, some communities have benefited more from past clean energy investments, and some communities have suffered more from environmental impacts and community disinvestment. So the goal of one of the goals of the Climate and Equitable Jobs Act is to make sure that the benefits of clean energy investments and good paying clean energy jobs are distributed equitably. This is just a graph that's a diagram that's showing that there are multiple CJA workforce programs that make up the CJA workforce ecosystem. These workforce training programs are focused on providing training to equity investment eligible individuals, and I'll talk about who those individuals are in a few minutes. The two programs that we're going to be focusing on today are the Clean Jobs Workforce Network program on the left-hand top corner, and the Energy Transition Navigator program. I also want to note that there is a Climate Works pre-apprenticeship program. The Notice of Funding Opportunity for that program has already been released, and the Returning Resident Clean Jobs Training Program will be released. The Notice of Funding Opportunity for that program will be released in a few months. The goal of all of these programs is to prepare people for clean energy jobs or apprenticeship programs. Clean energy employers will select or hire apprentices or entry-level workers, and this influx of new workers will help them be able to do the clean energy projects that are funded by CJA and more. There's also, as part of the CJA workforce ecosystem, there are some equity-focused economic development programs. We won't be talking about these today, but since they're part of the larger CJA ecosystem, I wanted to make you all aware of them. There's three equity-focused contractor programs: the Contractor Incubator Program, the Primes Contractor Accelerator Program, and the Equitable Energy Future Grant Program. All three of these programs are meant to help small businesses, contractors in the clean energy sector be able to grow their businesses and take advantage of grant funding to be able to support their growth. And the goal again is to make sure that they have increased capacity to bid on clean energy projects funded by CEJA and more. So the two programs that we'll be focusing on today in that CEJA workforce are the Clean Jobs Workforce Network program. This program, the main goal is to prepare people for entry-level clean energy jobs. The clean job training will be available at 13 locations across the state, facilitated by various hubs, and the hubs will use a standard framework for the clean energy curriculum. The funding for the barrier reduction program will be included in this program. And then the other program that we'll be talking about today is the Energy Transition Navigators program. The goal of this program is to recruit participants for the CEJA workforce programs. Energy Transition Navigators will be conducting outreach and education to build awareness of the CEJA programs, and they will be also building relationships with stakeholders, with communities, with employers to support these programs. Briefly going over the other programs in the CEJA workforce ecosystem, the Climate Works pre-apprenticeship program. The goal is to prepare people for registered apprenticeships. This will be delivered in 3 regional centers throughout Illinois, and the focus will be on providing basic construction training with a clean energy focus, and funding for the barrier reduction program will be included as well. The Returning Resident Clean Jobs Training Program also has a goal to prepare people for entry-level clean energy jobs, and this training will be offered for individuals who are in the custody of the Illinois Department of Corrections. The contractor programs, again, the goal of both of these programs is to increase businesses' capacity to do clean energy projects, to become prime contractors and bid on clean energy projects. The contractor incubator program there will be 13 regional contractor incubators that will provide funds and services to help contractors grow their businesses. The Clean Energy Primes Contractor Accelerator Program will provide intensive coaching, support, and funding to businesses, and it will be administered in 3 areas in Illinois: Northern Illinois, Central Illinois, and Southern Illinois. And again, this is the entire workforce ecosystem here. The CEJA workforce ecosystem, you can see on the left are the 4 workforce programs. The Energy Transition Barrier Reduction Program is supporting those programs by providing funds and services to help remove barriers to participation. And then the programs on the right are supporting contractors and small businesses, new businesses, to grow their capacity to do clean energy work. So we're right in the middle of the release of these different programs, the release of the Notice of Funding Opportunities for these different programs. In May, we released the Climate Works pre-apprenticeship program. In June, the Energy Transition Navigator program, which we'll be talking about today as well. This month, we released the Clean Jobs Workforce Network program, and in August, we'll be releasing 2 contractor programs. And later, at the beginning of the fall, we expect to release the Returning Resident Clean Jobs Training program as well. So as we've been talking to many of you, organizations want to know which of these different programs to apply for funding for, to deliver. And we're hoping that all of you on this call are thinking about applying to one of the 2 programs that we're talking about today. If your organization has experience providing employment, skill development, and related services, the Clean Jobs Workforce Network program may be a great fit for you. I want to emphasize again that all of these grants can be delivered by a single organization, but we are recommending that they be be led by teams of organizations. So you can partner with other community-based organizations or training providers to apply for funding to deliver these programs. We're expecting the teams that deliver the Clean Jobs Workforce Network program to have strong connections to target communities and populations in the region, strong connections to clean energy employers. They'll need experience providing wraparound supports and barrier reduction services, strong ties to other organizations for referrals, and the lead organization should be a community-based organization, and I'll be talking about the definition of that later on in this presentation. If your organization or team has experience providing outreach and engagement, especially to the target communities, the equity investment eligible communities and populations that we will be talking about, we'd encourage you to apply for the Energy Transition Navigator program. If you have relationships with workforce agencies and community organizations in your region, the ability to provide career navigation support, this may be a good fit for you. And this program, the lead organization that applies for funding for this program must be a community-based provider. And again, I'll be describing what that is later on in this presentation. Just a few general questions that we've gotten about applying for funding to deliver these programs. Can my organization apply to deliver more than one CEJA program? Are you interested in delivering both the Energy Transition Navigator and the Workforce Hubs program? Yes, you may apply to deliver more than one program, but please consider the capacity of your organization to deliver these programs if you're selected. Can you partner with other organizations? Yes, in fact, teams are strongly encouraged. For each of the programs that we'll be talking about today, one organization can deliver all the elements or partner or subcontract with other organizations to deliver the program elements. And we've developed a potential partners list that we'll share in the chat and share with all of those who have registered for this bidders conference to help facilitate partnerships and help you build teams to apply for funding. We have talked to several organizations that don't have a lot of experience delivering clean energy workforce training programs. Can you still apply? Absolutely. We welcome less experienced organizations to apply. However, we strongly encourage them to collaborate with more experienced partners when applying for funding. And then finally, can you apply to serve more than one regional workforce hub? Maybe you operate in a larger region and want to apply for one. Yes, you can, but please again consider the capacity of your organization and local connections. Okay, so what we'll be talking about today, I'll first cover the details of the Clean Jobs Workforce Network program. I'll be covering the program requirements, the funding information, the eligibility information, and application and submission information. And then after that, we'll cover the Energy Transition Navigators program. All right. The Clean Jobs Workforce Network program has 4 overall goals. All of the workforce programs, the main goal is to equitably grow the clean energy workforce to meet the demand for clean energy technologies and services. Other goals include providing training to prepare people for well-paying jobs in the clean energy industry. There's a goal to increase employment opportunities in the clean energy industry for equity eligible individuals and communities. And then finally, to help support clean energy employers in growing their businesses and meeting equity requirements. The Clean Jobs Workforce Network program will fund at least one workforce hub in or near the locations listed below. So you can see there's workforce hub locations throughout the state, and and DCEO is looking to fund at least one workforce hub in each of these locations. Who can participate in the Clean Jobs Workforce training program? The legislation, the CJA legislation, prioritizes placement as follows. 1/3 of placements are for people who live in environmental justice and R3 communities. 1/3 of placement is for people in environmental justice or R3 communities, especially those with barriers to employment. And these include prior involvement with the criminal legal system, those who are foster care alumni, people with language barriers, and people with low educational attainment. The program, and then finally, 1/3 of the final third of the placement is to be prioritized for people with barriers to employment, whether or not they live in an EJ or R3 community. There's 7 main tasks that the workforce hubs will be responsible for in administering the training programs. First, they will be recruiting participants. They may recruit participants on their own or work with the Energy Transition Navigators, and we'll be talking a lot about that program later in this webinar. They'll be helping people enroll in the workforce hubs and complete pre-assessments. They'll be providing Clean Jobs training to participants utilizing the Clean Jobs curriculum framework, which I'll be sharing in a minute. They'll be providing barrier reduction services and funds to participants to help overcome barriers to participation and barriers to success to completion. They'll be providing student support services such as mentoring and tutoring to help students succeed. And then they'll be helping students transition to clean energy jobs, providing job support, job placement support, and follow-up services and support to help participants get jobs and succeed in those jobs. And then finally, throughout this program, they will be coordinating with partners and employers to facilitate training and job placement. This is a really important aspect of the program. We're looking for those who apply for funding for this program to have strong relationships with employers to help facilitate the training and the job placement. So we'll be going over each of these main tasks in a little bit of detail, and the Notice of Funding Opportunity website and resources provide a lot more information. I'd encourage you all to study that and ask any questions that you have about the Notice of Funding Opportunity. So the first task is recruitment. We're looking for strategies that are inclusive, that focus on people living in equity investment eligible communities, the environmental justice or R3 communities. The equity investment eligible community map that's linked in this presentation shows where those communities are in the different hubs. This is 3 hubs. The images shown on the right show 3 different hubs and some of the equity eligible, investment eligible communities in those hubs. Applicants should look for ways to engage displaced energy workers and their dependents, to recruit people with barriers to employment, people who are low income, women, LGBTQ people with disabilities, people who have been involved in the criminal legal system or who are members or alumni of the foster care system. Workforce hubs will work with Energy Transition Navigators to recruit participants. We're looking for recruitment activities that are proactive, inclusive, and equitable, that go where the people are. We expect the workforce hubs to work with educational institutions and organizations working with eligible populations to work with local employers and labor unions to identify potential participants for the training. Workforce hubs will be providing information about the CEJA programs to organizations working with the eligible populations, local workforce innovation boards, and other relevant stakeholders. Workforce hubs will also be working with energy transition navigators to help support participants through the enrollment process. They'll be helping participants make informed decisions about their participation in this program. They'll utilize materials provided by the Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity to help participants apply and enroll in the program. They'll be assessing participants' need for wraparound services and student supports. And if needed, they'll be referring people to other workforce and business development programs if they find that they're not interested or not able to participate in the Clean Energy Workforce Network program. After participants get through the enrollment and onboarding process, they'll be provided training utilizing the Clean Jobs Curriculum Framework. And this diagram shows an overall, the overall framework from pre-assessments. There will be a bridge program that covers essential employability skills and clean energy basics and technical skills. After that bridge program, they will transition into job-specific training, and we'll be talking about some of the options for that. Workforce hubs have the opportunity to provide at least 2 job-specific training options. These can be new clean energy training programs, existing clean energy training programs, and they can also propose, they should also propose work-based learning on the job training elements as part of the training programs. And then finally, participants are expected to provide transition services to help participants get placed in jobs and to succeed in those jobs. And you notice the dotted line around the whole training program. Workforce hubs will be providing support, wraparound supports to help remove barriers to participation. These include stipends, childcare, tutoring, transportation, and more. So going into a little bit more detail on the Clean Jobs Curriculum Framework. Again, all hubs will be required to follow this framework. It's not, it's a framework. It's not as prescriptive. It doesn't explain exactly what should be taught, but it provides the overall content that should be taught and provides a few requirements for how it should be taught. As part of the bridge program, hubs will be required to provide training in essential employability skills. These skills range from goal setting to financial literacy, verbal, written, and digital communication, working in a team, critical thinking and problem solving, career development, and customer service. They'll also be providing training in clean energy basics. They'll be providing information about different clean energy careers. They'll cover some energy and sustainability fundamentals, some safety basics that are common to many clean energy careers, some building science principles, construction basics, and electrical basics that are again common to many clean energy careers. The goal with this bridge program is to help prepare people for more job-specific training, and also to give them some skills that will be transferable to many different clean energy related careers. So workforce hubs will then be required to offer some job-specific training. They can work with organizations that already offer this training, or they can provide it themselves. There's 7 different curriculum options that are included in the Clean Jobs curriculum, but organizations can also propose to offer different training for different related clean energy jobs. So there's solar photovoltaic training, energy auditor training, weatherization training, heating, ventilation, and air conditioning training, construction and building inspection training, vehicle technician training that focuses on hybrid and electric vehicles, and wind turbine construction and maintenance training. And for each of these different options, there are multiple jobs that it can lead to. Again, this is training that's preparing people for entry-level jobs that are in demand in Illinois in the clean energy industry. So workforce hubs, when you apply for funding to deliver this training, you'll need to demonstrate the need for the different job-specific training options that you select. And to do this, you'll want to look at regional demand using available job data. How many current job openings are there in the region? What's the future projected job growth? You're encouraged to utilize the Illinois Clean Energy Jobs and Training Program Inventory Report. We'll link it in the chat here and provide information about it. It's also linked on the Notice of Funding Opportunity webpage. We recognize that some of the data is hard to come by for these newer clean energy jobs. Do the best you can to identify what the current job need is and what the future job growth, anticipated job growth is as well. Some jobs are expected to see more gradual, steady growth. Some jobs, such as solar and wind, are expected to see more exponential growth, high growth over the next 10 years. So we're interested in the data that you can provide to demonstrate the need in your region. Another important part of demonstrating the need is employer relationships. We want to see that the workforce hubs have relationships with clean energy employers who are willing to hire program participants. So do you have those relationships with solar employers or energy efficiency employers who are interested in hiring from your program? That's another way to demonstrate the need. Finally, we'll want to understand what's already available in as far as training in the region. Is there a lot of training in HVAC in your region, but very little solar? Then maybe there's a need for more training. Maybe there's gaps in your region where you can provide additional training or access. Again, the Illinois Clean Energy Jobs and Training Program Inventory Report provides a little bit of information about the training availability across the state, and I'll be sharing some other resources as well later on to demonstrate this need. Workforce hubs will be providing work-based learning elements as part of their training curriculum and in partnership with employers. The Notice of Funding Opportunity defines work-based learning as sustained interactions with the industry or community professionals in real workplace settings or simulated environments. We know that a best practice for training is to give participants that hands-on experience at a real job site, and as much as possible, we're looking for training providers to provide those opportunities for their participants. At least 10% of the curriculum hours should be work-based learning, that hands-on workplace setting environment, if possible, to help prepare people for jobs. Work-based learning can include career awareness activities, such as job shadowing, guest speakers, or field trips. And it should also include workplace experiences as much as possible. This could be supervised work at an actual job site or a simulated job site or on-the-job training. We would like program delivery to be flexible, accessible, and interactive to improve student outcomes. Some different options that you may consider utilizing when delivering your training program. Do you want to provide on-demand, full-time or part-time? What would be best for the participants? so that they can access the training. Some organizations may choose an open entry and exit model to make sure that people have access to the training. Some organizations might choose to provide modular programming to avoid redundancy. Some people may already have some of the skills required in the Bridge program or in the job-specific training. Can you provide a flexible training that accounts for those skills that people may already have? Participants can consider virtual or face-to-face options for some of the curriculum to, again, improve accessibility of the training. Consider offering alternative testing approaches. We know that not everyone has had experience in certain ways of testing and assessment. Tutoring may be needed for some participants to succeed. And then finally, interactive learning tools, simulated environments, things that will increase students' ability to engage in the topics and get that hands-on experience. Throughout the training program, Workforce Hubs will be providing wraparound supports through the Energy Transition Barrier Reduction Fund. The Workforce Hub team will be required to identify an organization or staff to provide these wraparound supports. And these supports will include transportation costs, such as gas cards, car repairs, bus passes, driving costs, driver's education or driver's license fees. We know a lot of clean energy jobs do require a driver's license. Personal health services, this could include dental and vision care, as well as mental health and physical health care, child care, family care, emergency bill payments related to housing or rental assistance, referrals for food and housing and substance use treatment, and then legal services as well, which could include record expungement for those who have been incarcerated. This is not an inclusive list of wraparound supports that Workforce Hubs can offer. We encourage Workforce Hubs to identify the needs of participants and any barriers that they may face in participating and succeeding in the program, and try to meet those needs. Workforce Hubs will also be providing student support services to help, again, overcome barriers to completion and success. These could include tutoring in math or other subjects, other topics that may be difficult for students, makeup classes, retesting, educational enrichment, mentoring, technology assistance for virtual learning, and expenses related to certifications, testing, or applications. And then finally, the hubs will be providing transition services and follow-up. They'll be helping students transition to clean energy jobs or advanced training opportunities after program completion. So some of the services that hubs will be offering to help with these transitions are mock interviews, helping participants prepare applications and write their resume. They may need a referral to a career counselor or job search assistance. Follow-up services are also required. Check-ins, mentorship, continued mentorship and support throughout that next year after job placement to help, again, participants succeed in the jobs in their careers. Throughout the training program, Workforce Hubs are expected to incorporate core equity values that are defined in the Notice of Funding Opportunity, including diversity, inclusion, equity, and accessibility. And these core values need to be incorporated in all program elements, from an equitable, diverse recruitment strategy to an inclusive enrollment and intakes strategy, an accessible training delivery, and delivery of barrier reduction services to help overcome those barriers, to transition services, and relationships with stakeholders and employers. Equity-focused program culture for these training programs should focus on more than the numeric participant targets. It should work to eliminate or reduce barriers, to build a community of collaboration, to empower for resilience and success. Programs should set goals, measure outcomes, and adjust, and create a culture of belonging that celebrates differences. Workforce hubs will be required to track participant data and program outcomes through quarterly reports and evaluation. This will include tracking the number of participants who enroll in the programs, tracking the number of participants who complete each aspect of the training, and tracking the number of participants who transition to clean energy jobs and advanced training programs. And DCEO will be implementing a performance-based payment model that is based on those participant outcomes. So it will be really important to track the number of participants who are enrolled. This represents 25% of the total payment. The number of participants who complete various aspects of the training program, including the bridge program and the job-specific training. Transitions account for 35% of the payment. And transitions include helping people get clean energy jobs after the training completion, and also helping them enroll in advanced training if needed. And then 10% of the performance-based payment model will be for closeout reports. DCEO will be requiring grantees to do real-time reporting, and they'll be distributing funds for the program on a monthly basis. I want to note that the performance-based payment will not be used for the barrier reduction services delivery. The student support services and the wraparound services utilize a different pot of money, and they will not be required to utilize a performance-based, reporting-based payment model. So the funding available for this program, 22.9 million per year is available for the Clean Jobs Workforce Network program, for the delivery of that training program, and an additional $15 million per year will be available for the energy transition barrier reduction services for the program participants. A total of 37.9 million is available for the first 12 months of the program, and we expect that grantees will be selected every 3 years with a renewal process based on performance after each year. The award range for the combined programs for each applicant team ranges between $1 million to $5 million, and DCEO anticipates awarding at least one award in each of the 13 hub locations. So who can apply to deliver the Workforce Network Hub program? The legislation indicates that community-based organizations can apply, and these include nonprofit organizations, community colleges, and local governments. These community-based organizations are required to provide employment, skill development, or related services. They must have at least one main operating office in the community or region that they serve, and they must have demonstrated relationships with residents and other organizations serving the community. And the applicant team needs to include an organization or staff members who deliver the barrier reduction program services. And organizations that can deliver barrier reduction program services are community-based organizations or other nonprofits. They must have an ability to serve diverse underrepresented populations in the region. They must have the capacity to provide individualized supportive services and deliver funds in an efficient and timely manner. They need to have strong connections to other community-based organizations and local agencies for referrals and warm handoffs. And they need strong connections to equity-eligible communities and organizations. So putting that all together, collectively, the applicant team, and again, this can be delivered by a single organization, but we encourage applicant teams. Collectively, the team should demonstrate the ability to serve all individuals, including diverse and equity-focused populations. They should have agreements with employers and others for work-based learning opportunities and to help facilitate job placement and on-the-job training. They should have the ability to provide training using the Clean Energy Jobs Curriculum Framework. They should have the ability to recruit, pre-screen, and provide training to prepare workers for employment, the capacity to provide supportive services and transition services, and the capacity to provide training in locations that are accessible in the region. As you're building your team, I'd encourage you to think about the program elements that your organization is capable of delivering and where you might need help or support from another organization. So here are the different program areas, basically the tasks that I listed earlier. What do you have covered with your own organization? Where might you need help or expertise from another organization? You might have one organization work on the outreach and recruitment and the application and the intake, while another organization provides different aspects of the job-specific training or the bridge program training. Maybe a separate organization provides wraparound support services and student support services or transition services. So think about the strengths of your own organization and of the other organizations in your region that you could partner with. We'll send the slides out, but we have developed a potential partner contact list to help facilitate team building. If you're interested in partnering with another organization but don't have relationships yet with those organizations, you might consider looking at this list. It includes a list of organizations that have shared their contact information with us, that have indicated they're interested in partnering for these CJO workforce programs. It also includes a list of clean energy employers. We want to see relationships with those clean energy employers for those work-based learning opportunities and job placement. It includes a list of apprenticeship programs in Illinois and solar NABCEP certified training providers in Illinois, as well as other clean energy training programs from the Clean Jobs Inventory Report. So this can be a great resource. It's not comprehensive, but it can be a great start to building those partnerships and finding those clean energy building those clean energy employer relationships that are needed for a successful program. So now transitioning to applying for funding. The main grantee for this program must register in the Grant Accountability and Transparency Act GATA grantee portal. They must be registered to be eligible to apply. And if you're not familiar with this process, I'd strongly encourage you to attend a webinar. We'll be providing some information about that a little bit later that will cover the GATA requirements and how to register. The application process is quite extensive. There are a number of different elements that you'll need to complete and submit. And these all can be found on the Notice of Funding Opportunity website. I've linked it here and we'll put it in the chat as well. The different elements of the application include a uniform application, a uniform budget, utilizing the template provided by DCEO, conflict of interest disclosure and mandatory disclosure. These are forms that your organization will need to fill out. And then you'll be creating an executive summary of your proposed project and the technical proposal. We'll talk about that in a little bit more detail in a minute. And then there are 4 attachments that you'll be required to submit as well: a work plan, an outcome summary, a curriculum plan, and a staffing plan. And again, this is just a screenshot of some of these different elements. I'd encourage you to go to the website and spend some time looking at them. If you have questions about them, definitely attend some of our upcoming webinars. We'll be covering some of the details of the application and answering some questions on the website. Here's the 2 disclosure forms that you'll be required to fill out. The executive summary and technical proposal, these are really the body of the application where you get to tell us what your plan is for delivering this program. The technical proposal is 20 pages long, and it includes, you'll be writing about your applicant team's capacity and the qualifications, not just the main grantee, but the entire team. You'll be explaining the need in your region for the clean energy training. And then the project plan is the largest part of the proposal, 12 pages to tell us how you're going to deliver the different elements of the program, what your strategy is for an equitable recruitment, what the curriculum is that you'll be covering, how you're going to deliver that program, that curriculum, how you're going to deliver transition services, how you're going to work with employers. And then finally, the last section of the technical proposal is the budget narrative. This is where you'll provide some justification for your budget, and explain how you're going to be able to deliver a cost-effective program. The 4 attachments, I've provided some screenshots here. The proposed work plan, basically, we want to know how many individuals you propose to train for each throughout the year. And then the participant outcome summary is similar in that you'll be explaining how many enrollments, program completions, and transitions you expect from your program. The curriculum plan is a little bit longer. It asks you to describe both the bridge program and the job-specific training that you will be providing. You'll need to describe what you will teach and how. You'll need to describe the work-based learning elements that you'll be offering. You'll need to identify the job-specific training options that you plan on delivering, and describe the demand for those job-specific training options. We encourage you to utilize the resources that are on the Notice of Funding Opportunity webpage. These include the Clean Energy Jobs and Training Program Inventory Report. This can be used to help describe the demand for the training, and also the Clean Jobs Curriculum Framework. You'll be required to provide the training that aligns with that Clean Jobs Curriculum Framework. The staffing plan basically requires that you explain who is going to be filling the different staff roles to deliver the different elements of your program. And after filling out the staffing plan, you're encouraged to also provide resumes from key staff and memorandums of understanding from team partners, as well as employers who will be working with you to provide work-based learning elements or to hire graduates upon completion. We want to see that you have strong partnerships in place to deliver the program. How will proposals be scored? The Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity will be using a merit-based review process, and you can read a little bit more about this in the Notice of Funding Opportunity. Basically, 35% of the merit review will be based on the applicant team's qualifications and capacity. Again, not just the main grantee, but your team as a whole. 10% will be based on the documentation of need in your region. 40% will be based on the quality of your project and integration. And then 15% of the scoring will be based on the cost effectiveness, your budget, the cost effectiveness of your proposed project. The proposals will be sorted by regional CEJA hub and then scored by the merit review team. So I know I've thrown a lot at you in this webinar. All of this information is included in the Notice of Funding Opportunity, and you can go to this website to find all of the attachments and resources that I've talked about. Program eligibility requirements and submission information can be found here. You'll also be able to submit questions and read frequently asked question responses through that web page. So we encourage you, if you do have a question, please submit it there on that website, and check back frequently to see responses to those questions. Finally, if you're a first time or a newer applicant, if you don't have as much experience providing workforce training, or if you haven't received funding from the Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity before, we encourage you to attend virtual office hours for one-on-one technical assistance, and those will be offered the first week in August, from August 1st through 8th, and we'll provide details and a Zoom link within the next week for applicants to sign up for those office hours. In addition to those office hours, we encourage you to attend some of our upcoming webinars. We have one coming up on Monday on writing an effective proposal. You can register. We'll pop the link in the chat, but you can also find the link to register for these workshops on the Notice of Funding Opportunity webpage. On July 21st at 10 a.m., we'll be delivering a webinar on Grants 101 and GATA training. Again, August 1st through 8th, we'll be providing that technical assistance office hours. And then on August 11th at 5 p.m., we're asking applicants to submit a notice of intent to apply. This is simply letting us know how many organizations, how many teams are interested in applying, so that we can prepare, so that the Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity can put together a merit review team. This is optional, but we strongly encourage teams to submit the notice of intent to apply. And then the final due date for the proposal is September 1st at 5 p.m. This is the deadline to be considered for the first merit review cohort. As needed, applications will be accepted on a rolling basis until the funds have been spent. All right, moving on to the Energy Transition Navigator program. This program, I'll be covering briefly the requirements of this program, the funding information and eligibility, the application and submission information. I'd also encourage organizations that are interested in this program to review the past bidders conference. We'll be going over this information quickly, but you can get a little bit more information on the website there as well. So the goals of this Energy Transition Navigator program are to equitably grow the clean energy workforce to meet the demand for clean energy technologies and services, to connect people to clean energy training programs that will prepare them for well-paying jobs in the clean energy industry, and to build relationships among the CEJA workforce programs the clean energy employers and communities to support the CEJA workforce program goals. The Energy Transition Navigators will serve people in the 13 workforce hub regions. Same workforce hub regions that are in the other program that we talked about first. They'll also be serving people in the surrounding areas. So Energy Transition Navigators are expected to cast a wide net to serve people in the surrounding regions as well. Energy Transition Navigators will support the different CEJA workforce programs with a special focus on the Clean Jobs Workforce Network program and the Climate Works Pre-Apprenticeship program. The goal of this program is to help recruit participants for the programs in the CEJA workforce ecosystem. They'll be helping conduct education and outreach to recruit participants. They'll be building connections in the communities and engaging with clean energy employers to help support the workforce programs. The Energy Transition Navigators have 4 main tasks. First, they'll be coordinating closely with the other CEJA workforce programs. They'll be providing outreach and community education to raise awareness of and recruit people to participate in the CEJA programs. They'll be providing services to help people enroll, and they'll be engaging with diverse community, employer, and workforce stakeholders to advance the workforce program goals. So when navigators engage with people who are interested in the workforce programs, they'll be helping participants explore their different options. Do people want to participate in the workforce hubs, or are they more interested in an apprenticeship? If they're more interested in an apprenticeship, they might want to participate in the Climate Works Pre-Apprenticeship program. They'll also be directing people to the contractor incubator programs and other workforce programs. In doing this engagement and outreach, navigators will need to coordinate closely with the other CEJA workforce programs as part of their larger outreach teams. Just as with the Clean Jobs Workforce Network program, the navigators should adopt an inclusive recruitment strategy that includes people living in equity investment eligible communities, people with barriers to employment, women, LGBTQ plus individuals, people with disabilities. Navigators will need to understand the participant eligibility requirements for the different programs. They vary slightly. We've talked about the workforce hub placement prioritization. The Climate Works Pre-Apprenticeship eligibility is for people living in environmental justice or R3 communities, or people who've been incarcerated, or people who are current or former members of the foster care system. Navigator teams should engage in recruitment activities that are proactive, inclusive, and equitable. They should work with educational institutions and organizations working with equity eligible populations. They should work with employers and labor unions to identify potential participants. They should provide information about the CEJA programs to organizations working with eligible populations. They should work with local workforce innovation boards and other relevant organizations to provide information about the CEJA programs and recruit participants. They'll also be helping participants through the application and intake process. We covered this in the previous program, but essentially navigators will be helping participants make an informed decision about what program to participate in. They'll be utilizing materials, pre-screening materials. They'll be helping with assessments to identify student support needs and referring people to other workforce programs as needed. They'll be helping people make informed decisions about clean energy career pathways and training programs for people interested in the Climate Works Pre-Apprenticeship program. the focus is on helping people to succeed in a registered apprenticeship. Here's a few of the apprenticeship programs we have in Illinois that are clean energy focused, that are in the construction and building trades. Or they might direct people to the workforce network hubs. This program will be helping to prepare people to succeed in a variety of entry-level clean energy jobs. And here's a few of the jobs that the training program will lead to. Navigator teams will assist with the recruitment, pre-screening, and assessment process. Here you can see this is the overall program delivery, the wraparound services. They're really helping with the front end with that recruitment and pre-screening to help get people into the program. The navigators will also be required to develop relationships with other stakeholders to support the workforce programs. This may include local employers, educational institutions, trade groups and labor unions, local economic development institutions. And the goal of establishing these relationships is to identify the skill and the hiring needs of the local clean energy industry, to inform recruitment and training decisions, and to facilitate job placement and work-based learning efforts. As with all of the CEJA workforce programs, the Energy Transition Navigators program should employ an equity lens that goes beyond numeric participant targets. The Energy Transition Navigators navigators should understand how race, ethnicity, gender, and background can impact access to and experience within the clean energy industry. They should incorporate core equity values of diversity, inclusion, accessibility, and equity in all of the program elements, from recruitment to enrollment and intake and building relationships. And they must help create a welcoming, accessible, and inclusive environment. Again, the navigators are really in that front end role, helping to recruit people and enroll them into the program, and they can help create that welcoming environment at the very beginning. The funding that's available for the Energy Transition Navigator program is $6 million per year. For the total program delivery, DCEO expects to make up to 13 awards, one for each regional workforce hub area. Applicants will be selected for 3 years and subject to annual review. And the amount per award range is from $250,000 to $600,000 per year. Community-based providers are eligible to apply for funding to deliver this program. And the legislation defines a community-based provider as a not-for-profit organization that has a history of serving low-wage or low-skilled workers or individuals from economically disadvantaged communities. Organizations that can apply should provide employment, skill development, or related skill services. They should demonstrate relationships with residents and organizations serving the community. They should have a history of serving low-waged or low-skilled workers from economically disadvantaged communities, and they should demonstrate relationships with apprenticeship programs and contractor associations. As with the workforce hubs, navigators, organizations can apply to deliver the services all themselves, or they can partner with other community-based providers to provide different program elements. So on the left here, I've listed some of those different program elements. Does your organization, are they able to deliver those services? Or do you need some help? Do you want to partner with another organization that might have expertise or community relationships that you could leverage to to really succeed in delivering these program elements. Similar to the workforce hubs, there's a number of application documents that applicants will be required to complete. And you can find all of those materials at the website, illinoisworknet.com/CEJA Energy. The application documents include a grant application, a budget, a conflict of interest disclosure, a technical proposal, and then 2 attachments, including a work plan and a staffing plan. Here's again, just a few screenshots of those different application elements. And then the technical proposal is the main body of the proposal. It will include information. You'll need to fill out information about the applicant team's organizational capacity and your qualifications. You'll need to document the needs of the region, and then develop a project plan of how you want to deliver the different elements of the Energy Transition Navigator program. And then finally, you'll complete a budget narrative that explains the cost effectiveness of your proposed project. Here's a few screenshots of the proposed work plan and the staffing plan. The staffing plan should include resumes of key staff and memorandums of understanding from team partners. Similar to the Workforce Hub, the proposals will be scored using a merit-based review process, where 35% of points will be for the applicant team qualifications and capacity. 10% will be documentation of need. 40% will be based on the project quality, and 15% will be based on the cost effectiveness of your proposed project. Proposals will be sorted by regional CEJA hub and then scored by the merit review team. You can learn more by going to the Notice of Funding Opportunity webpage listed here. That contains information about the program, eligibility requirements, submission information, all of the links that we've talked about here. You can submit questions on the webpage and read responses. And then I'd encourage you, especially if you are a newer applicant, to attend our office hours in early August. The technical assistance sessions will be the same whether you're applying for the Workforce Hub program or the Energy Transition Navigator program. The information is the same. So if you are interested in learning more about the different parts of the application and how to develop an effective proposal, I'd strongly encourage you to attend these upcoming webinars on July 17th and July 21st. We'll put some information in the chat on how to register. On July 27th, we're asking applicants to submit a notice of intent to apply. Again, this is optional. It just lets us know how many organizations are interested in applying, and it helps us be able to form a merit review team. At the beginning of August, we'll be hosting those technical assistance office hours, and then the due date for the first round of reviews for the Energy Transition Navigator program is August 15th at 5 p.m. And again, applications will be accepted on a rolling basis as needed until funds are spent. Finally, if you do have questions, please reach out to our email. You can post the questions on the Notice of Funding Opportunity web pages, but you can also email ceo.ceja@illinois.gov, and we're happy to get back to you. We'll be reviewing this chat and responding to questions through the Notice of Funding Opportunity FAQs. And we encourage you to submit your questions, and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you for attending. We look forward to the responses that we will get from this notice of funding opportunity, and we hope to see you at our upcoming webinars. I'll stay on for just a few minutes, and we'd encourage you to register right away for the upcoming webinars. Thank you very much.